A while ago I was reading this book, Moondust. It's all about the moon landings and space travel in general, and the engineering and the story behind all the different astronauts. And in one particular section, it goes into the fact that astronauts were coming back to Earth, describing quite a profound shift in consciousness that they experienced whilst being above the Earth and going to the moon. And the author of the book described a little bit this phenomenon and said, yes, it's very interesting, but then kind of brushed it off and said, well, you know, it's probably just the fact that these astronauts were in a very unusual environment. The human being has evolved on Earth, therefore it's totally unnatural to put him or her in weightlessness, floating about and going to the moon. So it's obviously a completely unnatural environment. Plus, on top of that, the space capsules were almost filled entirely with pure oxygen. So the human brain was breathing in, was fully saturated in a pure oxygen environment, which led to the heightened level of consciousness. So the author of the book, in a very kind of characteristic scientific reductionist way, brushed off or sort of negated the shift of consciousness itself and just explained it away in terms of the material processes. And to me, this is very symptomatic of our modern materialism. So this next cartoon is a kind of a description of how silly it is to brush aside these states of consciousness as being just contingent or just being the product of brain chemistry. And also, the other excuse was just to illustrate a rocket taking off, or animate a rocket taking off. I found that quite a fun challenge and wanted to see if I could do it. Well, I hope you enjoy the cartoon. Thanks for watching.
Jack and Jill are invited to be the first astronauts to fly an exciting new rocket. It is the first rocket to use biodynamic fuel, a special mix called Preparation 500. The final checks are made and Jack and Jill are ready for takeoff. Once in space, Jack and Jill become aware of a deep interrelatedness of everything. The Earth, the stars, the sun, as well as the plants and the animals and everyone who ever lived. It all suddenly belonged together. They also felt a spiritual truth that transcended their own individual lives, their own egos. They became connected with a profound and divine consciousness that all life, the Earth and the universe were all part of a spiritual reality. Filled with wonder and awe at this realization, Jack and Jill were eager to get home and share their experience with everyone back on Earth. Sadly, when Jack and Jill told everyone about their spiritual experience, they were met with laughter. "A bunch of woo," they laughed. "We must remain scientific about this." Jack and Jill were in a very unusual environment. In their space capsule, they were breathing nearly 100% oxygen. This, and the excitement of the unusual experience, obviously has a strong effect on the human brain. This spiritual experience they say they had is nothing more than the result of overexcited brains in an unusual environment. Huh, that's funny. What's that? You know how they said that our spiritual experience was the result of being in an unusual environment and breathing in 100% oxygen?
Yeah?
Well, I can kind of get the same experience just here looking up at the stars. And we're not in an unusual environment right now, are we?
No, I guess not.
Huh.